Good evening then, ladies and gentlemen, across the world. Welcome aboard then to WOR. This is the new season. This is Season 13. This is Tier 2. And it is myself, Jota, not alongside Callum, unfortunately. He's unwell, so obviously everyone at WOR sending their regards. However, we do have someone rising up the ranks from Tier 8, Simply YT. Good evening to yourself. Thank you very much for joining alongside me. And a wet qualifying out in Britain.
Yep, thanks for having me, guys. And yeah, this is really gonna shake things up here.
It's going to be a particularly interesting scenario, of course, because it is a wet qualifying out there. So, assuming that we're going to be into sort of dry conditions, which is what we may expect to... I mean, this is the British Grand Prix. We'd expect a bit of mixing in the weather. If it is a dry track out there, your priority surely is going to be about sort of the race, because you can race around here.
Yep, definitely. I guess that is usually the strategy around Silverstone. I mean, I guess that's what most of the drivers do anyways, as far as, you know, I do know. They really like to prioritize the race strategy as well as the race in general over the qualifying because, you know, there could be some sort of chaos down into turn one, although I believe, you know, our drivers are going to keep it fairly clean. But that is generally what they go for.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's going to be a scenario where I think we're going to be expecting a few little incidents out on the track. On board with Spinala, by the way. A big congratulations to Spinala, by the way. What an absolute performance from the FTR driver. 1,000 laps of Great Britain in aid of the Mind charity. And in the end, he's coming here on the back of 1,000 dry laps, and he's having to start off in wet conditions. But nonetheless, over £1,000 raised for Mind charity. So really, really good effort from Spinala. So big thank you to him.
Yep, great work from him. We do really like seeing our drivers, you know, donate to charity and, you know, just help out charity, you know, help out the people in need. That's what we like to see in general.
Yeah, fantastic. And obviously these drivers obviously doing their best in order to sort of think about the world around them outside, of course, this esports world. And, of course, big good luck, of course, to everyone in the Pro tournament as well, where obviously they kick off tonight as well across the board. So, focusing now on what's happening in the WR Tier 2 world at the moment. VLX Quantum is the driver leading the way for McLaren at the moment, right? Racing for Velox Racing, as we just follow Max as he comes across the line with a 2-minute 9.032. So obviously down the order at the moment. Spinella did come across the line in the end with a 1-minute 43.4. That puts him in 10th place now, as Levi, I believe it's Levi Asbit, comes across the line for 6th place in the Ferrari. Akos also coming on the back of a relatively good performance. P3 in the standings at the moment. He wants to continue on with his good form. It's P5, now P6 for him, as Adam Dude comes across the line with the fastest lap so far. But let's be candid here. The track isn't going to get any better looking at these weather conditions. I'm expecting that really pole position could come at any time, as opposed to what we usually see towards the end of qualifying.
Yeah, definitely. I guess it does have the fact that the track is going to evolve slightly. The dry line is going to get much more drier. So I guess towards the end, we're going to see much faster times in this.
Absolutely, indeed. So we'll keep an eye out on Cesar, then the FRA Driver Fury Racing Association, on the back of some really good performances across the esports world. The team is just looking to keep their drivers in tip-top shape, as the FRA Caesar and the Aston Martin just tiptoeing, actually, around the track at the moment as he heads through Maggots and Beckett's. And a little bit of a tank slapper as well. Yeah, those conditions are looking treacherous at the moment, to say the least. There is a lot of cloud up in the sky. And these drivers also having to come off the back as well of a brand new update as well. The new update to Formula One has, shall we say, livened things up a bit for a few people. Not so much for people on their career mode, as unfortunately seen a lot of their career mode saves getting corrupted, which is not the ideal scenario, to say the least. FRA Caesar then coming across the line. He is wanting to try and set a lap time if he can with a 1-minute 45.423. Puts him down in 17th and well off the pace, just a little bit over 4 seconds off the pace of Adam Dude. Jam Pancakes 44, third place for him at the moment with that 141.6. Quantum in second place with that 41.2. But looking down the rest of the field at the moment, 42.2, 42.3, 42.4, 44, and so on. Pretty close, you'd have to say, in that top 10.
Yeah, definitely. I guess if this sort of continues, I believe anyone could realistically get pole position in the top 10, because at the end of the day, the wet conditions do really bring it down to the driver's skill moreover than the setup itself. So, anyone could just bang in that lap and grab that pole position at the end of the day.
Just keeping a very quick eye out on what's happening at the moment with Maxis at the moment. The Euro Titans driver racing in the Alpine is wanting to try and set some kind of a lap at the moment, but you have to admit he is struggling out there at the moment. That 153 obviously not a representative lap time of Max's usual pace, but at the moment he's now on a slowdown lap as he's just trying to get to grips with these conditions out here, and especially if these drivers are focusing on sort of race pace around here, you'd expect a lower downforce setup than maybe what you're looking for, because let's be honest, if we compare this one simply, you have a look at sort of tracks where it's wetter, let's say Monza versus Great Britain, you can get away with a lower downforce setup, a race setup at Monza, but you can't get away with a similar setup at Great Britain. I mean, you'd be talking, let's say, 1725 wings. In dry conditions, maybe okay, but in wet conditions, it might not be enough, whereas you're sort of maybe 6.2 to 8.4 wings that you may see at maybe places like Italy and Monza, you might just get away with it in the wet. So it is a lot about driver skill, as you rightfully point out.
Yup, again, setups do play a little bit of a factor in, because you do have to have the right setup to make sure your car does stick onto the track. And of course, majority of it, I believe, it does come down to the driver itself. But then again, the setup does help in some sort of ways. Yeah. Well,
we'll keep an eye out what's happening in the chat as well. There's Alex Dagu in the chat. How are you doing, sir? Nice to have you on board with us in this Tier 2 session here tonight. It seems like the Jam Pancakes fan club has now begun entering into the chat simply. We've got people saying, come on, Jam, full capital letters, says Alex Dagu. And looking around here as well, it's just looking pretty intense, to say the least, actually, all around the board with that 141.0, and then you've got Quantum on a hot lap trying to improve himself in the McLaren. A big welcome as well to Evan as well. Thank you very much. Hello, commentators. Nice to have you on board with us. The McLaren is just coming around now, the final sector, and again, he's looking to try and improve, and he's completely mugged me off. He's come into the pits. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I mean, I did see his sector times, and he was about a second and a half down on his second sector, so I didn't think he would be finishing that lap.
Let's have a very quick look at what's happening around the board at the moment. So plenty of people on cooldown laps at the moment. Now Venom, the Shazoo driver, absolutely is a rapid driver, I know, around Great Britain, and he is a little bit out of position, to say the least, with that 144.5. I think we've certainly got a driver that's got a little bit more pace behind him than the pace that he's currently putting out there at the moment. And the Rev Caterpillar Club, I'm sure, is going to be slowly arriving into the chat. Crispy starting off there. We've got Rev Caterpillar. I just don't think you understand. He's got us a P3. He's better than Shazoo Lacey, and we've got Rev Caterpillar. I believe trying to bring the football world into Formula 1 is not particularly a good mix. But we will focus at the moment on Venom, though. He is going through Maggots and Beckett's at the moment, and he is trying to improve on his current lap at the moment. Sector 1 lap time, he's a little bit down, actually, just a little bit over a tenth of a lap down in the first sector. In the second sector is where he lost a lot of time on this occasion as well, actually. 8.5 tenths down, so he's obviously on a slow lap at the moment. 4 lap or wet tyres, sorry, as well, mediums, where have I got that from? FRA Stonk's coming around at the moment as well. He's the only driver you'd say on a lap at the moment that's of any representation.
Yep, and I do think that Venom, Caesar, and Maris are kind of struggling right now. Perhaps they just, are just getting a hold of the track conditions, because of course Venom is on 4-lap old tires, and of course he's now pitted. But I did see that he made a slight mistake coming out of Stowe, but I don't think that would have really hindered his lap, as he was 8.5 tenths down on his lap earlier. But yeah, I guess in the last about 6 minutes left in this qualifying, I guess they would, put some more fuel in and just go for another set of runs.
Clone Troop, good afternoon, sir. Nice to have you on board with us here, as he's also following the Jam Pancakes fan club. Also supporting Jam Pancakes. Currently P3 at the moment. His teammate in pole position as it stands at the moment. Of course, if you are watching across the WOR spectrum, of course, if you are tuning into Legacy Division as well, slightly different rules in the regular League Division. Short qualifying for the normal League event. So this is a fight, all-out fight for pole position. and the rain doesn't look like it's letting up at all. Although I am starting to see relative puddles and maybe just ever so slightly a dry line beginning to open up here. So there may be an opportunity for people to choose the intermediate tyre, as we are actually seeing, believe it or not, people, as I say, that's switching over to that intermediate tyre. Akos, Axel and Venom have all elected to move over to an intermediate tyre, and it's not really that much of a surprise, really, when you've got that dry line just beginning to open up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they can definitely take a chance with it, and if it works out for them, they could, fight out for the pole here, but the rest of the drivers still, struggle on the wets. Although, by the looks of it, it's still fairly wet, so I'm not sure if it's going to work out for them. They have to absolutely, stay in the trial and nail the lap, and, make sure they don't tip out onto the wet parts of the track, because that could really mess up the lap. So that is one thing they have to keep in mind.
Just had quite a large spin, actually, from Rev Caterpillar as well. I believe he's just heard the words of Crispy. Shouting Rev in full capital letters has clearly startled him and put him straight into the gravel. So that is his lap over and done with. But he's got plenty of time to get out there and have another go. He might actually have a bit of time to get in and get a set of intermediates on if he wants to give it a go. First set of drivers now coming out on the intermediate tyres are both the Mercedes runners, VSR Akos and Shizu's Venom. All electing now, both of them electing to move over to that intermediate tyre. And I must admit, looking at the amount of spray that's currently coming off of the tyres, I'd say intermediates are potentially an option. But looking at this little slide just going through that long right-hander, it looks to me as if the intermediates may be a little bit tricky on the rear.
Yep, I believe you're watching Venom. Akos had the same sort of situation. They're going through the same corner, so I believe they will have to stay kind of cautious going through that particular corner, but otherwise they've been looking pretty stable, so we'll have to see what they can pull out.
Well, let's see what happens anyway as Akos comes across the line now, so he's going to start his lap, and this is actually his second attempt by the looks of things, and oh no, that might have been his out lap actually. For some reason I'm getting all the lap times appear on my screen, very weird. Anyway, they're coming through turns 1 and turn 2, and again, look at that rear, is just not stable, and he's just hesitant getting on the throttle. Is the intermediate a little bit too early, I wonder? Oh, it certainly looks like it. He's hitting a lot of puddles, and that is a big aquaplane off of the track, and maybe the intermediates are just a little bit not quite right at the moment for the present track conditions.
Yeah, even Venom is now struggling, and he's really sliding across the track, and of course Akos just sort of, couldn't set the lap in properly. There's a lot of aquaplaning going on, the spray is still heavy, the rain is still heavy as well, so I think being on the wets is a much better option right now.
Yeah, I'm just following on board with Venom as well, and he just had a big tank slapper that's put him off of the track, and he has invalidated that attempt here as the fastest wet time comes across the line through the FRA's Kai, who now goes fastest above Adam Dude by just over 5/10. So clearly the wet tyre is the way to go. Those gambling on the intermediate, including Noctis and maybe Shizu's Piccolo as well, are all electing to move over to that intermediate tyre, but their data suggests that the intermediate may be the faster tyre at the moment, but in practicality it doesn't look like that is the current case at the moment. Cesar's in the second sector going quite quick. He's 2.1 seconds up, and we knew that he is one of the drivers yet to set a representative lap time, so he'll come across the line and he'll go right in front of his teammate to go in 8th as Adam Dude comes across the line just behind to go improve on second place to go straight back into pole position where he was for a lot of this time in qualifying. But we still have a bunch of drivers all now electing to go onto that intermediate tyre. Has the intermediate tyre now switched on? It seems like to me that they're getting the go-ahead from their relative pit crews to say the intermediate is the faster tyre. But again, in practicality, these intermediates do not look quick. The Rev Caterpillar just coming out of the pits, and he's absolutely drifting around the arena section. He's not looking confident.
Yeah, I think the game is quite deceiving in terms of that. I mean, it's never really accurate, even when you ask Mark that is in this game, what the weather is. Even he says about an estimate sort of weather and not exactly spot on. So I believe that is definitely deceiving the drivers, although we can clearly see, of course, as you mentioned, that it is definitely not time for Inters.
I mean, you've got to look at it from this perspective as well, as we're just watching PSR's Fresh as in the fresh new livery as well for Ferrari. Absolute beauty as well for the next few weeks with that yellow stripe and, of course, the Ferrari logo across the back wing. He currently in P6 at the moment. It is going to be very interesting to see how the drivers sort of improve on their lap times and whether they do choose to go onto the intermediate. Now, those at the back think they've got nothing really to lose to go on the intermediate, but I beg to differ. They're going to be down at the back in a race around Great Britain, which is known for its overtaking. Plenty of overtaking opportunities, of course, but you don't really want to be in the midfield or at the back around a track, especially going into turn 1, 2 and 3. All you need to do is just look back at the real life race in that infamous instance, of course, between Zhou Guanyu, I believe it was Pierre Gasly, and also George Russell. So closer racing into turn 1 may lead to a few accidents.
Yep, the cars are not going to flip in this game because this game is purely incapable of that. However, they're definitely prone to a lot of incidents over there, and its qualifying is now over, so the drivers are basically on their final runs right now.
Well, the checkered flag is now out, so this is the final runs for a lot of people, and those on the intermediates electing to start their laps now, and Akos comes across the line on the intermediate tyre with a 1:41.265. Now, Venom was 8 tenths up, and he's now 2 seconds up on his sector 2 time here. So suddenly the intermediates have come alive a little bit here, and those towards the back may be gaining quite a few positions here. A little bit of a tank slapper coming out of the Stowe corner, and then they head through now into Vale, and it's going to be very, very careful here for a bunch of these drivers, as we just see one of the Red Bulls, I believe it's Axel's gone straight onto the second row in 3rd place, the Academy Shizou driver. Venom will come across the line in only 16th place, which is really down the field for someone of his caliber, you have to argue. 4 tenths of a second up in the second sector for Noctis, but is he going to be able to find the time to be able to get above, maybe into the top 10? He's going to be important for him to get across the top 10 as he gets a big time slap, and he only goes P15 here, as Piccolo is looking to try and get a lap in at the moment, but one of the Ferraris looks to me as if he was just trying to overtake him, and it looks like he's messed his lap up in the process, so that may be going to the stewards, and that'll be one to watch, of course, in the Discord, I'm fairly certain. Here he comes then, does Piccolo. Will he improve on his lap time? He doesn't. He's 1.3 seconds down. The last driver to set a lap is Rev Caterpillar, and the Rev Caterpillar crew, I suspect, are going to be disappointed with what they see. They are not! 7th place for Rev Caterpillar in the end, and he's the last person to come across the line on the intermediate tyre, and he's only just managed to make it work. It's top 10 start.
Yeah, that was a very good lap from him, and I was on board with him throughout the lap, and he did get a lot of traffic in his lap. So I believe he could have gone at least 2 or so tenths faster, but yeah, that was definitely still a very good lap.
Well, nonetheless, really, really good performance from Rev to get into 7th place in what has been very changeable conditions throughout that qualifying session. But it is Adam Dude in the AlphaTauri taking pole position at his home Grand Prix. Levi is on the front row for his home Grand Prix as well, with Kai in 3rd place, Axel in 4th, Quantum is in 5th, Jonas in 6th, Rev Caterpillar, as we said, in 7th place. What a performance from him. From Spinella in 8th place on the back of those 1,000 laps he did as well. Bobbitt's in 9th with Fresh in 10th, and of course down towards the back, some of the drivers that you really wouldn't expect to be towards the back, actually. Akos in 11th, Stonks in 12th, Cesar in 13th, Maxis in 14th, Jam Pancakes in 15th, Noctis in 16th, Typical in 17th, Venom in 18th, Piccolo in 19th, and then Winter rounding out the 20 drivers racing tonight. And you have to say, very mixed bag. It's only going to make for very interesting racing. I just hope it's dry.
Yep, that's what we all hope for. I mean, I would love an absolutely interesting, interchangeable conditions, wet to dry to wet sort of race. But I guess a drier race is much better than a complete wet one, because we don't really see much overtakes in the wet.
Just having a quick look as well at what's happening in the chat. It does look dry out there as well. Very, very interesting comments coming in immediately out of the people out in the background as well. We've got people such as Alex Dago in the chat saying it sounds like to me, or it sounds like anyway, that a Ferrari held Jam Pancakes up in that, and he ended up doing a 39 but invalidated. So he wasn't very happy about that one. Sam McCabe is robbed, apparently, says Clone Troop. With Sam McCabe has some serious passion, says Callum G as well. Where are you, Callum, by the way, as well? Hope you're doing well, buddy. Hope you're feeling a little bit better soon. Nonetheless, though, we're going to be in for a very interesting race ahead of us. I can't really put a favourite on for race fixture. Usually you'd have someone who stands out. Adam Dude was the person who stood out in the wet, but it wasn't by much. It was less than a tenth, so it's going to be pretty tight going into this race, especially going through, I think, the first 6 corners easy.
Yep, that could definitely be the case, and I mean, I guess we just have to see what's going to happen. I mean, all we can do is predict the things that we believe could happen, and In terms of predictions, and talking about the contest of predictions, who do you think could be the possible top three here?
Well, I mean, you've got to be looking here at the sort of strategy that people are going to be picking as well, because that's going to be one key feature here. The soft tyre is not the tyre to be on. So it's all about what people want to pick on, and you have to say the hard to medium is the way to go. Medium to hard is the alternate strategy. As it stands at the moment, Adam Dude, the pole sitter, is starting on the medium with everyone else behind him down to P13, starting on the hard. So early favourites would suggest you're going to put Levi and Kai in the mix. Adam Dude, his strategy may work at the beginning, but this track is going to get warmer quicker, and those on those medium tyre towards the end are going to be rapid. So your early indication surely is going to suggest the likes of Levi and Kai are going to be in that mix. Interesting conversation happening in the chat, by the way. You like the sound of this one. It sounds like we've got a Park Ferme glitch that has come fresh with this brand new update, apparently, where all the drivers are now allowed to change their setups regardless of what happens. So if anyone elected to try and strategize and go for the race setup for qualifying, it never even mattered. So that's a little bit annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, those at the back. I mean, I'm not saying these drivers are going to exploit such things, but those at the back could perhaps try and change the setup in a little bit if they were feeling slightly uncomfortable, and try and gain an advantage through that. Of course, I believe, and I'm pretty confident they're not going to do such, but we'll have to see if the lobby does get restarted or not for that.
They're not going to change their setups, wink wink. Let's see what happens across all of these drivers here. We're back in just a second for the continued coverage of the British Grand Prix. Good evening then, ladies and gentlemen, across the world. Welcome aboard to WOR. This is Season 13. It's Tier 2 in the Xbox tier, and we are about to get racing for what is going to be a very interesting Grand Prix. It's 1, it's 2, it's 3, it's 4, and it's 5 lights. It's 5 lights, and they are a go. The drivers, here they are. Those lights went out very early. Let's see who was caught napping. Around that inside line is going to be Levi, but he's not going to get caught out by Adam Dude, who's going to stay around that outside. We're expecting a little bit of a mixed bag across the board here as all of the drivers just trying to hold on. Already some drivers losing it, and we've already lost Akos towards the back. He's spun out going through turn 1. As Adam Dude is going around that inside line, he holds on for P1 with Levi and P2. Kai holding on, but then he spins out as well as Axel re-overtakes the position, and now he's into P3, but McLaren are doing a cracking job as they have been all season. Quantum in 4th, Boberts in 5th, Fresh in 6th with Rev Caterpillar holding station in 7th. Spinella, the man of the moment after those 1,000 laps, he's in 8th. Stonks in 9th. Venom is in 10th place, and it gives me this very quick opportunity to introduce the co-commentator for this one. As Callum is unwell, we all wish him the very best. Simply YT joining alongside me for this one tonight. Sir, it is a very interesting start. Some very quick drivers already losing it through turn 1.
Yep, we saw Kai fall down about 15 positions over there. That's not been a very good start for him, and I believe Jonas got pushed off slightly wide, and he just lost a lot of positions because of that as well. Although Venom's get over 8 positions, I believe it is, so that has been a very, very good start from him.
Very, very good start from Stonks as well, who's also going side by side with Spinala at the moment, who doesn't want to fight out too much. He gets overtaken down to 9th place for him as the Aston Martin promotes himself up to 8th place. A little battle happening as well with Noctis trying to fight with Jam Pancakes at the moment, as the Jam Pancakes fan club not going to be particularly happy about this scenario. Here comes Venom, then he's going to go down the inside, make that 9 positions gain if he's going to fight off with Spinala, who's relegated down to 10th place. It's a good effort from the Mercedes, who's now up those 9 positions, and clearly it's still fighting though with Spinala, as Spinala is not letting this one go, but in the end he elects not to fight it too hard. So Venom up 9 positions in just 2 laps. Clearly the dry conditions definitely suiting him a lot more.
Yup, that was pretty good racing over there, and we can see Caesar had a little bit of a moment. Now he's lost a lot of time to now as well as Venom, although he's trying to pressure yet from Noctis, who's just right behind in the Red Bull. and we can see Jam Pancakes has left the sessions. I believe he's gotten disconnected, so it's not going to work for him at all.
I was just watching him, and it looks like there was a bit of a half spin or something, and he ended up losing a bucket load of positions, and the ghost of Jam Pancakes is now going to get overtaken left, right, and centre. I don't think that this is a disconnection. I think that might have been a rage quit, based on the fact that his car was pretty much trying to recover back in a position and losing a bunch of positions. It would be disappointing if that is the case, because it is only lap 2 of 26. This is the British Grand Prix. Anything can happen, and it usually does. We'll keep an eye out on those in the top 10 as Rev Caterpillar still holding on for P7 at the moment. Opportunity to have a very quick conversation about the tyres. Everyone on the hards.
Yep, I guess everyone's just opted for the hard medium strategy. I mean, being on the soft tire at the end of this race, in particular at Silverstone, is a very good benefit you have. And realistically, starting from the mediums is a good shout, because you do gain a lot of positions on the start, that is if you can keep it clean. But going towards the end, you're just going to get absolutely eaten up by everyone else who is on the mediums, just because of the pace difference that has the mediums.
Absolutely. Lap 3 of then 26, the DRS is now enabled. Everyone is in a DRS train from first down to 14th place at the moment. So the DRS train will now begin from Levi all the way down to Piccolo. Kai, who obviously spun out going through turn 5, he will now be leading a train from 15th down to last place in 20th. No, never mind, Jam Pancakes' Ghost has already come in. So obviously there was damage on that Alpha Tauri. So I'm expecting that probably is going to be a rage quit from Jam Pancakes, which would be very disappointing indeed, considering it is so early on in this race. So 19 drivers is what we have on track at the moment, and the Kai is just about to enter the DRS territory of Piccolo, which means everybody will be in a DRS train, with Spinala just regaining DRS on Venom. So this is where the racing now begins. Are they going to push hard on the hards, or are they just going to hold off and they're going to go for that medium tyre where everyone we're expecting is going to be at a more racier pace? That is the question.
Yep, I think going to the mediums would be a much better shout, unless they would, someone could try and pull out till the end, like about the last 6 or so laps, and then go to the softs. Because again, the softs do have a lot more pace advantage than the mediums and the hards, although they do wear out quite a bit and much faster. So, I guess having good time management, if you want to do such an aggressive strategy, is very key here.
Akos making an overtake on Maxis. Of course, remember, Akos made that spin going through turn 1 as they collide ever so slightly. He's now up to 18th place, the Hungarian hero. Very disappointing stuff from him so far. He was hoping to get, I think, continue on his form in Tier 2. Of course, he's P3 at the moment, but of course a very poor qualifying led to a spin going into turn 1. He is now down, well out of the points as it stands in 18th place, as he's trying to regain DRS on Typical in 17th place at the moment. Back towards the front, Levi starting to make some inroads on Adam Dude. Now in the last few laps, Levi has certainly been the faster driver, finding a couple of tenths here and there on Adam, and at the moment that Ferrari is looking mega quick, especially in the mid-speed corners at the moment.
Yep, he seems to be running a slight bit more downforce than Adam, because he is gaining a lot through the corners over here. As we can see, he's going through Maggots and Beckets right now. And yeah, he's inching in a lot going through these corners. I guess Adam has opted to go with a slightly more straight line stream setup. He does have the DRS here. He's sizing up a move on him. He's going down the inside. They're going side by side, and I think that'll be a fairly easy move for Levi.
Levi then leads this race as the Ferrari overtakes Adam Dude. Now down one position is the Alpha Tauri as the two Italian teams fight it out for the win of this race, but there is plenty of racing to go. 21 laps as they'll come across the start finishing line. So Shizu Axel is in the, well, should we say, in the realms of this race at the moment. He's just hanging back at the moment, holding on to his own little race at the moment. He has used a bit of his ERS at the moment, just a little bit under 50% of it to be specific, and he is just trying to hover on in the hope that a mistake does happen. A little mistake from Levi going through into the arena section. Doesn't look confident in the lead of this race. Now, obviously, last season's game, as we have a spin out towards the back, and it looks to me as we've lost one of the role player 1 drivers. Winter has spun out going through into the arena, so he's now relegated down to 19th. That promotes Maxis Akos up to 18th and 17th respectively, and he will be trying to keep on that battle with Typical F1 at the moment, as we just have a look and see what's happening down in the midfield. That little battle happening with Axel, he is just trying to hold on in that little race himself, in the hope that he can be a little dark horse in this little race, but he needs to stay within the DRS territory of Adam Dude, because otherwise those two McLarens, who have been in fine form this season, will very easily swallow up the Williams.
Yup, I guess Axel, as you said, is just hoping that any one of the drivers ahead of him do make that slight mistake that could give him the better edge over here to make that move for the P1, provisional P1 position. And we can see in the back, if you go at Noctis, roleplay 1 Noctis, he's closing it a lot to Caesar. He does have a slight look down the inside, but does not make that move. He just ran out of road for that. Although he's still very, very close to him. He has another look down the inside, but again, yeah, just too far back.
Yeah, Noctis is just biding his time at the moment. He's looking and trying to find the suitable move, not the next move, the right move, in order to make the overtake on Caesar at the moment. The Red Bull RBPT is looking to try and get himself up closer to the points if he can. Now, of course, Spinella is trying to hold on for points himself, and he is going to be looking for it is Noctis, but chooses to chuck the car back on the inside here. But he's going to be stuck in that DRS train with Spinella, Venom, Stonks all the way up actually to Levi in the lead of this race. But he is looking, is Noctis, as is wearing the lovely fish helmet that's come with this new season of racing in the Formula 1 esports world. Going around the outside is Noctis, and he wants to try and maybe tease Caesar into losing DRS here, but the issue is Spinella has made a mistake himself and really offered the position to go for DRS here. So here comes Noctis, who's actually going to put some pressure on him. Not going to work on this particular occasion. We've got a yellow flag waved in Sector 2 for a half spin for Jonas. It's been a really poor race from Alfa Romeo as it stands here. Keep an eye out on this Red Bull, who's still going through Magus and Beckett's, and he's still trying to fight hard with the Aston Martin, but Spinella is really helping out the Aston Martin here, and actually it might be the Aston Martin who's in a good position. But look at the ERS that the Aston Martin has got. He's very limited, down to maybe 3 or 4%, and he's struggling to get by the Haas, and Spinella may even hold on, but he's struggling for ERS as well. Noctis is also starting to struggle, but he has a lot more in consideration of the two drivers there, and Spinella making a mistake, and that relegates him down to P12, maybe even P13, as Piccolo also trying to get in the mix for Shizu, but the Williams driver holds on.
Yup, the Spinella losing out those positions really just started when he made that slight mistake, and then that just helped Caesar Noctis get very, very close to him, and then that just set him up to lose this position. Now Piccolo is closing into him. I don't think he will be able to make a move here, because he does have the DRS of Spinella does have the DRS of Noctis over here, and he's slightly far back, so he's not really getting much of the slipstream. So yeah, he won't be making a move here, although I guess he will still be trying to size it up on Spinella, maybe perhaps put him under a lot of pressure going through these sort of corners, so that he does mess it up for Maggots and Beckers, and that will just make it an easier move for him.
There is a few breaks in the DRS train beginning to open now as well. Axel has now left the DRS train of Adam Dude, but Adam Dude has also left the DRS train of Levi. So the top three are currently hovering in and out of DRS, but the DRS train is now broken from Caesar to Venom, so now Noctis is now beginning to eye up his move now versus the FRA driver, and you can't blame him on that previous lap. Was he putting Caesar under pressure purely to lose time? So then this could happen as he goes down the straight, and the Red Bull now promoted up to P10.
Yup, very good ERS management as well from Noctis. He saved a lot more ERS compared to Caesar and Spinella, who are both hovering around that 10% ERS sort of battery percentage over there, whereas Noctis has just saved up a lot more compared to them, and then, you know, just put a lot of pressure on both of them, and then just sized up those two moves and went past them quite easily.
So, you know that conversation we had literally maybe a minute and a half ago, where we talked about Adam Dude and Axel were hovering in and out of DRS of each other to Levi? In that situation, he is now 1.8 seconds behind his Adam Dude, and Axel is in DRS territory of Adam Dude. So, Adam Dude's made a mistake somewhere to lose that much time, or is he beginning a conservative approach now on his fuel and ERS? Now, according to my screen, looking at the fuel gauge of Adam Dude at the moment, he is hovering around about 2.5 laps up on fuel, so fuel is not a problem, but his ERS is unfortunately characteristically a problem. As we saw, I think Miami was a characteristic of the issue that he were facing with ERS management, is now coming to fruition again. Only look for him here is Axel is also struggling as well, but he is a lot closer than he has been the last few laps, and I'm wondering if the Williams driver is going to start beginning, not maybe go for a move, but certainly put a bit of pressure on the AlphaTauri.
He definitely could be doing that. I mean, he just has to stick behind off the DRS of Adam Dude for a couple of laps, recoup a bit of that DRS and then go get at him, because Adam Dude is clearly out of Levi's DRS. So essentially it could play into Axel's hand over here. He just stay patient, just put Adam Dude under a slight, bit of pressure over here, and make sure that he saves his DRS and does not use up all of it, because he would need it, right after passing Adam Dude to defend off from Adam Dude, of course.
We have a spinning car as well in the third sector going through Stowe. Unfortunately, it's another one of the Alfa Romeos again. It's Winter for role player 1. They're really struggling out there, are the Alfa Romeo team. So clearly, and he's also struggling as well with track limits, as he's getting a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. So clearly not comfortable out there at the moment, are the Alfa Romeo team. So uncomfortable. In fact, he's now left the session as he now retires in the pit lane, does the Alfa Romeo. Really disappointing stuff for Winters. Hopefully he can bounce back to another race later on in this season. However, we will continue on with the coverage of this race of the British Grand Prix as we take a look and then have an opportunity to take a very quick look at the chat at the moment, see what things are happening. And if you are watching as a replay, where have you been? Come in and watch us live as we are continuing our coverage, of course, across the week from 8 p.m. and of course 7 p.m. if you're tuning in for the Legacy Division, as we've got multiple penalties starting to now come in, one for Axel and one for Fresh. Let's have a look at the chat. Oh my goodness, it's all Rev. The Rev fan club has arrived. We've got Barney, we've got Crispy, who are all in there, and it's absolutely insane how many people are supporting Rev at the moment in P7, doing what is described, I think, as the standard job of holding his position.
Yeah, but he's actually holding out quite well. He has been under pressure from Stonks ever since lap 1, and he has actually been holding up quite well from Stonks as well as Venom, because he knows that if you lose that one position to Stonks, he's going to lose that position to Venom as well, and if they end up fighting, that's just going to bring Noctis right up and close to him, and perhaps it will just become a chain of him losing a lot of positions. So Rev is actually doing quite a very good job here of just defending off from the other drivers.
Just have a quick look at Axel at the moment, as well as just trying to close off in this battle against Adam Dude again, just holding on. But as you were saying, simply the best in your commentary and your analysis. He is currently holding on at the moment and just hanging behind Adam Dude, not pushing that hard and saving his ERS, and he's managed to recover what was about 15-20% up to near 50. The only issue is Adam Dude has now begun his ERS save, and he's now up to about 35. So this battle is still not over.
Yup, and what does not help Axel is the fact that he does have a 3-second time penalty. So at the end of the day, Adam Dude is still slightly in the beneficial part over here. I mean, of course, as long as he could keep it clean. But yeah, Adam Dudes are doing a very good job over here of saving his ERS, and Axel is also, of course, on the conservative strategy, not using up much of his ERS and just making sure that he could save up more of it. I guess it could benefit out at the end of the day Axel, because he, of course, has a lot more ERS, and he will reach his maximum ERS much before than Adam Dude. So he could, of course, size up and move much earlier than Adam Dude could be expecting, because, of course, he does not know how much ERS Axel does have. So he's just hoping that, Axel uses up a lot of his ERS to catch up, and then, he can just stay ahead. Although we can see Adam Dude has used up a lot of his ERS, and now he's about 20% lower on his ERS compared to Axel. So this could be quite interesting over here.
Certainly is as well, because look who's just breathing ever so slightly down the necks of Axel. It's Quantum and Bobbers. The two McLarens are starting to pick up the pace here, and that is now going to offer an opportunity really for Axel to now begin his push, so then he doesn't end up getting caught out by the Velox and ESV drivers in 4th and 5th place respectively. Both going a bit wide actually going through the next set of corners, so they're not going to help their situations against the McLaren team at doing that at this moment in time. And people in the chat asking, how do you know about Adam Dude's fuel? Well, it's because I've got a little bit of telemetry data on my other screen at the moment which is suggesting it. However, I will be perfectly candid and say it has been a bit faulty at times. During my tenure on Legacy Division, apparently a driver was down 12 laps at one point. So if the 2-lap thing is not correct, which is highly probable, I can only apologise for the inaccuracy. But either way, Adam Dude does look to be struggling a little bit on pace, whether that's because his car is heavy on fuel or because he's just struggling with his ERS at the moment is another question, because Axel is now beginning his push and he's getting very close to the rear of that Alpha Tauri.
Definitely, he's starting to put a lot more pressure now on Adam Dude, make sure he can make a move on him, perhaps going through the long straight, the long back straight that leads up into the Stoke corner, but he has made a slight mistake coming out of the final corner, so that has put him back slightly, but I don't think that's going to discourage him much, considering that, you know, how much, I believe it was like half a second in last lap alone, so that's really going to encourage him a lot, although he will be under pressure by Quantum as well as Bobbits now, and we can already see Quantum's caught up a lot.
Quantum has caught up a lot, actually, and he's probably put more pressure on Axel than Axel's going to be putting on Adam Dude, purely because of that little bit of oversteer that he had coming out the final corner, as you rightfully point out. We did catch that live and thought, it's going to be close, that one, because now, here comes the McLaren Mercedes, and he is just buying his time, taking the alternative line through that corner, which we know there's a couple of lines that you can take through there. One where you can hug the apex, or hug the curb as the apex, or you come out wide and take a later apex. Either way, it benefits you depending on the situation that you're in, and Quantum knows that he's just biding his time, and he thinks his overtake may be inevitable. He's not had a very good Magnussen Beckett as Axel either. He's had a really poor lap on this occasion. His DRS is available, but I'm wondering if the McLaren's going to get closer and closer. Axel is now beginning his ERS push here, and Quantum is just hanging back, but in doing so, he's putting Bobbits under a lot of pressure to catch up and keep up at the moment.
Yep, he is. Bobbits has fallen back quite a fair bit. I believe he's made a slight mistake somewhere earlier in the lap, and we can see now Quantum's right in the back of Axel. Axel's under a lot of pressure right now to pass Adam Dude as quickly as possible, because we need to remember, yet again, he does have those 3-second time penalties, which are going to affect him at the end of the race.
It's going bad for worse. Talking of penalties, bad to worse for the Hungarian hero. Akos speeds in the pit lane and chooses, and that is it. He's had enough, and he is out of this race. And what has been a very disappointing race, you have to say, and race weekend in general, actually, for the Hungarian in third place in this championship. Very close stuff happening in that little race between Axel and Quantum. Nearly a collision going through the arena section, but in the end, nothing of the occasion happened. Alternative line now being taken for Quantum as he hugs the curb and takes the early apex on that occasion to try and put the Williams of Axel under pressure. But as it stands at the moment, he's still behind Axel. It's been a valiant effort from Axel, but he needs to start making some inroads on Adam Dude here, or is he purposely sticking behind Adam Dude and using him as a DRS here and keeping the DRS train alive, I wonder? It's all about the tactics now and what these drivers are going to decide to do, as we are now officially halfway in this race. It's the halfway through the 13th of 26 laps here in Great Britain.
Yep, I do believe that he is actually holding himself back, because if he does go for a move and it doesn't work out for him, he's going to be under constant and immediate pressure by Quantum, and they've decided to pit. Quantum and, Adam and Axel have both gone into the pits.
Crikey, I mean, people were leaving it very late to break out on the brakes, and unfortunately a bit too late for Fresh, the PSR driver, as Paradox have got a 5-second penalty on their shoulders through Fresh at the moment, as Kai does exactly the same thing for the Haas car. I'll get there in the end. He unfortunately gets a 5-second penalty, as well as the Fury Racing Association driver. But as it stands at the moment, Levi still leads this race, and what has been actually a fairly quiet race for the Ferrari, but I'm having a quick look at the little telemetry I've got here. He's beginning a push on this lap, so I suspect he's coming in.
Yeah, he definitely could be. I believe this is a very, very good time to now start, pitting, because the mediums definitely can last about the 12 or 13 laps that these drivers are expecting them to do. Of course, you'll have to be slightly cautious coming out of the pits, because the tires are going to be fairly cold. But I'm pretty sure they're used to it by now, so they've already planned on how that would work out for them. And by the looks of it, I think Levi could be, once he pits, he could have a massive chain of cars who are behind him, pull in. I believe there's still going to be a couple of cars left out behind, but I think people would rather follow Levi in, because he is, of course, that race leader, and that's what people generally tend to do, is that, they're going to follow the race leader in hopes that, perhaps they could stay ahead of the rest of the pack and gain themselves a bit of an advantage.
Big thank you to all 50 of you tuning into this race here tonight. It's always appreciative of your support, as no surprises, we did see Levi coming in. He is coming in, as we're just following Noctis around the lap, and he's elected not to pit at this moment in time, as the other Mercedes of Venom gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. It's been a very, very up and down race for Mercedes. It's been really, really shocking stuff, to say the least, as Levi comes out, no surprise, on a fresh set of medium tyres. Seiza gets a 3-second penalty for corner cutting, and I believe it's because he's currently on a push. Levi is on a very, very slow road here to get himself out of the pit lane. So it's all about where is he going to be versus Adam Dude, who's just now coming around the final corner in that little battle. I was just going to very quickly speak about Noctis. What a week it has been for Noctis, actually. He now moving it over to Roleplayer 1, and I was saying Roleplayer 1, what a signing, actually, as this little battle happening here between Adam Dude and Quantum. Quantum has definitely been caught out in an undercut, but a very, very skilled switchback. He knew what Quantum were going to do. He tried to defend the line. He understeered ever so slightly, and he swallowed up the position. So Adam Dude does hold on to P2 in the end, but that undercut clearly not working.
Yup, it has not worked out for him at all. Now Axel is past Quantum as well, and now Bobbert is closing up on Quantum as well. So I think Bobbert could try and get past his teammate over here, and Quantum's under a lot of pressure right now from the drivers behind. Even Fresh has caught up to him, and Left Caterpillar is just slooping behind as well. So all of these drivers in very, very close proximity to each other, and I think Quantum's under a lot of pressure right now, and he has to stay within those 3 seconds of Axel to perhaps gain on him, of course, at the end of the race. And of course, he has to stay in the slipstream as well. He's trying a lot of different lines over here. He has messed up a bit of the Maggots and Beckett's section over there, and he's got a lot of time. Here comes Bobberts, though. He is in the slipstream. He's much, much lower on the ERS, though. He's going somewhat side by side with him. They are Quantum just cuts him off there. Very, very close over there. I believe Bobberts could have gotten a slight bit of damage if it was slightly more aggressive. Although I believe, Quantum won't be trying to do that because he is as his teammate at the end of the day, and they want to maximize how much points they do get at the end of the day.
Yeah, the McLaren team definitely got into some kind of tiff there, saying, actually, no, I don't think you should be overtaking me on this occasion. I am the faster driver, but Bobberts was showing his worth on that particular occasion, but unfortunately he did get that 3-second penalty for corner cutting. Looks to be through, it was heading into, oh, forgive me, it was the... I've completely forgotten the name of the right-hander. I'll get there in the end, though. He ended up corner cutting. I believe it's because his mindset, he was still in the hard tyre mode where he was expecting a bucket load of understeer, and then the car just clicked and he just turned in and the car stuck, and he got the corner cut because he anticipated understeer, so he turned in earlier than he should have done. So Bobberts gets a 3-second penalty, but his tyres, now Quantum's, have now warmed up, so he's now going to be able to begin his push. And the question is he going to be able to put pressure on Axel, because Axel is still within DRS territory, but a mistake going through into Maggots and Beckett's is now offering the opportunity maybe here for Quantum to make a move. He's got a little bit of ERS on his disposal as well, as Noctis finally comes in for his pit stop. Spinella and Jonas and Maxis were probably going to be expecting to be coming in as well. But again, it just looks to me as if Axel... we said we think he's gone for the higher downforce setup, but I'm not being funny. On the straights, he's rapid. So he's got certainly a very good setup on.
Yeah, by the looks of it, I do think he has a very good balance setup now, because he was very, very quick on the straight. So having a good balance setup over here is crucial as well. So I think Axel has nailed his setup in terms of cornering abilities as well as the straight line speed. And again, he is putting pressure on Adam. He is much closer than he was compared to when they were on the hards. And of course, the hards did wear out quite a bit for Axel, staying in that dirty air of Adam Dude. And yeah, I think he will be able to size up a move on Adam Dude pretty soon here, because again, Adam Dude is quite a bit of a distance away from E.T. Maris, and he does not have the DRS because of that. So I think he could be a slight bit of advantage over here, and perhaps because they both do have a lot more ERS, although you can see Adam Dude is still on about 25% of ERS. So I think Axel is continuing to do his ERS saving strategy, going a slightly more conservative, and then I believe he will be making a move on Adam Dude much, much later in the race, when I believe Adam Dude could be completely out of his ERS, because he is using up a lot right now to stay ahead. And I guess that could be the game plan for Axel, but he has to remember that there is still Quantum and Bobberts who are right behind him. So whatever he's doing, he has to do it in a very clean and efficient way, so that he does not get caught up by Quantum as well as Bobberts, because if anything goes wrong for Axel over here, Quantum is right there, and he could perhaps pounce on Axel as well as Adam Dude and pull away a lot of time.
Levi is on a bit of a charge at the moment, but unfortunately he got caught up in a lot of traffic. Jonas and Max is obviously getting on that hard tyre and staying on the hard tyre, so clearly they're trying to go for a very alternate strategy maybe of a hard soft, which would be bold to say the least. That means they would be pitting in probably around about 3 or 4 laps time for a 4 or 5 lap stint on the soft, which would be rapid maybe for 2 or 3 laps, but it's certainly not going to be quicker than those that have been on the medium tyre all this time. They've made up a bucket load of time on those who are still waiting to make a pit stop, and of course maybe, just maybe, Jonas, Maxis and Spinella are hoping for a safety car, which certainly is a real possibility considering the DRS train is falling from 5th all the way down to 12th at the moment, as Spinella is now the guilty party for 3-second penalty as he's heading through Maggots and Beckett's, as we still continue on this battle. And this has been the sort of main headline, hasn't it? This battle between Axel and Adam Dude has been fascinating to watch, and how the drivers have been electing to race their cars. Adam Dude not having the best Maggots and Beckett's there, that's going to hemorrhage some time through there, but the issue is now he's starting to get in DRS territory now of Max Risk, which tells me Axel has got to make a move, and he's trying to. He's going to go around the outside line heading into Stowe, but the AlphaTauri is just going to hold on, but they're still side by side, and the Williams has decided to make the call. He did not want to be stuck in a DRS train again with back markers, and he has decided, I am now making my charge. He's up to 4th.
Yep, very, very good move from Axel over there. He stuck it around the outside and still, made the move right there, converted it into the inside line, and, very, very good attack from Axel. Although now he will have to make sure that he can pull away from Adam Dude, while Adam Dude is making a slight mistake going through that corner. I'm not sure what the number or the name is, but yeah, that's just put Quantum right on the back of Adam Dude, while Adam Dude has about 10% TRS left, where Quantum has about 36%, and Axel has a lot more ERS as well. So I believe Adam Dude is kind of in a very tricky situation over here right now. I mean, Quantum will be getting Axel Sam's position as well, because he is within his 3 seconds, but this is definitely a fight for who could get that P3 position. I believe it could turn into a fight for P2 as it was earlier, because Jonas is yet to pit.
Adam Dude, I know him with his racing ability. I've seen him race on a few occasions, and he is not one for giving up, and I suspect that may be his downfall here, because if he begins to push too hard and use up all that ERS, Quantum is going to really get on the back here of the AlphaTauri. So here we go, they're going down the straight now. Adam Dude is able to keep up, no problem at all, but as regards of trying to get closer to Axel through these corners, you have to argue he really isn't at the moment, and actually it's Quantum that's going to be putting the AlphaTauri under some pressure here, and that is an important battle. Of course, remember, those drivers in front have got time penalties. Adam Dude doesn't, Quantum doesn't either, so this is an effectively, as you rightly point out, a battle here for what would be P2, as Levi is really starting to run away with it at the moment in that Ferrari, as they now head through into turn 1 and they start their 20th or 21st lap around here in this race for the British Grand Prix, as we're just having a quick look around what's happening around the rest of the field, as Bobbitts is also trying to get in the mix as well, and unfortunately it looks like Jam Pancakes is also his Ghost anyway is currently in the middle of a battle with a bunch of cars trying to lap him at the moment, which is really disappointing. It's why it's so important that if you do choose to leave the race, at least retire in the pit lane. So he's causing a little bit of a disturbance in the midfield at the moment, but that's offering potential opportunities for likes of Venom to catch up versus Stonks. But in that continued battle at the moment, Axel is just holding on, but Adam Dude is certainly under a lot of pressure from Quantum. Look how close he is now, going through into Cops, as I've just remembered, going through into Maggots and Beckett's. Now there is the Ghost car of, I believe to be Jam Pancakes, who's now going to be giving a DRS opportunity to Jonas, despite the fact that he didn't he shouldn't have been allowed one. But here comes then this little battle that's happening here between Adam Dude, as Adam Dude is now under some serious pressure with the lack of ERS. The McLaren of Quantum is electing not to go for it, but he's now struggling with ERS. He's been pushing the last few laps, and he's been putting the AlphaTauri under pressure, and he's certainly going to be looking for it as the Alfa Romeo of Jonas gets out of the way. Quantum makes a mistake and goes off of the track, and the lapped car gets in the way and maybe causing some problems as Bobbitts now takes over the McLaren, and I'm sure Quantum not going to be happy with that one.
Yeah, definitely Quantum made a bit of a mistake going into that corner, and that just cost him a lot of time as well as positions over here. Bobbitts is past Quantum finally, and although Bobbitts is quite low on the ERS, what's not helping them either is that Fresh is right on their backs, Noctis is right on their backs, and Fresh has made a slight mistake, and Noctis is now getting past Fresh, and he had a much better exit compared to Fresh, because Fresh did make that slight mistake, and yeah, easy move for Noctis. And Ref Caterpillar did, I was about to say much earlier, Ref Caterpillar did lose a position to Noctis, so his defensive masterclass not really playing out in these mediums currently, although let's not discount him just yet. He's still fairly close to these boys over here, and if anything happens up ahead of him, he could definitely bounce back.
We'll keep an eye out on Noctis as well. Of course, the new RP1 signing is going to be, and certainly the team are going to be very happy with his performance so far as he continues on his charge up the field, up 10 positions so far is Noctis. He's had a really good race despite the poor qualifying, and actually it could be 11 here because he is going to be putting Quantum under pressure here. Now, after all that battling with Adam Dude, here all of a sudden it looks very much as if Quantum is now under some serious problems here with that ERS, but the thing is Noctis is also struggling with his ERS, as is the two McLarens for that matter. Adam Dude is also struggling, as is Axel actually, so everyone is all hoping that they've got enough horsepower in their ICEs on their own here just to get them around the track at the moment. We'll keep an eye on what's happening in P10 at the moment, as Venom is also trying to catch up and get in the DRS of Stonks, but he's struggling with ERS here, so everyone is on a final charge for the final 4 laps. This is going to get a little bit tasty, as Venom, unfortunately, getting into the DRS territory of the Jam Pancakes, who left earlier on lap 2.
Yep, this is getting very interesting, although I would like to point out Fresh does have a lot more ERS compared to the drivers ahead of him, and that is Stonks who's making a move on Ref Caterpillar over here right now. They're going side by side, makes a slight mistake. Ref Caterpillar is still ahead of Stonks over here, taking a slightly wider line compared to Ref Caterpillar to gain that time on the exit, although he does go onto the curve and bottoms out, so he does lose a bit of time over here. And as I was coming back to my earlier point, Fresh does have a lot more ERS compared to the drivers ahead of him as well as behind him, so all he has to do is just hold on for a couple of laps and save a bit more ERS and then just pounce on all of these drivers, because a lot of the drivers ahead of him do have time penalties, although of course he does have time penalties himself. What he could do is hope for them to make a mistake and then pounce on them as well. As we can see, Noctis is now trying to make a move on Quantum. He's trying to do it around the outside. He's still sticking down the outside, but Quantum blocks him off perfectly. Yeah, what a move. He's going to go for the dive again, though. He's caught him napping a little bit, going down the inside line. Now he'll have to go around the outside of this corner. Is he going to get squeezed out? No, in fairness, the McLaren leaves him the space, but just hasn't got the grip on the accelerator pedal, has Noctis at the moment. There's your penalty situation at the moment for the drivers. 3 seconds for Axel, Bobberts and Quantum. You've got 3 for Stonks, 3 for Caesar, Spinella, Maxis and Jonas, as there's a little bit of contact between Noctis and Quantum, as Fresh is also getting in the mix as well. He's got 11 seconds worth of penalties as they're colliding, and they're still side by side between Quantum and Noctis. It's been fantastic stuff, but Fresh spins around into the arena section, so he is now out of the chance of getting any points. The 11 seconds wouldn't have really helped him anyway, but he's still trying to battle hard at the moment as he retires on the track, and I hope that doesn't bring a safety car out. That's the last thing you want to do, as the McLaren Quantum does get overtaken by Noctis in the end. Really good racing between Velux and RP1, and now he's going to be chasing down against Bobberts as Rev Caterpillar stays in 7th place. He continues his battle at the moment with Stonks and is not going to worry too much about the Mercedes behind him. Shazoo Venom also with 11 seconds worth of penalties. Yup, very good racing, although it is quite unfortunate Fresh went up that way. He was going to pounce on the drivers ahead of him for that mistake, and I believe it's too late for the safety car now. So these drivers will just have to hope that whatever they do, they do not make any mistakes at all, because a lot of them do still have that time penalties with them. So they do have to, of course, hope that they can pull away a lot more gap in the remaining about 3 or 4 laps, as well as making sure that they, of course, defend for their current position as well as of course, try and make a move on the drivers ahead, because that is going to add to them, and they're going to lose a lot lesser positions.
Heading then into the arena section, 24 laps of 26, 2 laps to go in this race. Levi looking ever so likely that he's going to be taking a very, very comfortable win indeed in this race, of course, after making that cracking overtake on Adam Dude. 3-second penalty is on Axel's head, though, and Adam Dude is still holding on at the moment. That spin and that yellow flag you just saw just then was from Max Race, down in P15 at the moment. He spins going through cops. Now, what's happening around the rest of the field at the moment? Rev Caterpillar is in a good position at at the moment to be taking potentially a good P5 finish here if he can stay within the touching distance of the two McLarens, as Max Riss has retired and he retires another driver retiring in the pit lane. Bitterly disappointing to see so many drivers retiring on circuit without retiring in the pit lane without actually considering at least finishing the race, because let's be honest, even if you don't get points, your finishing position will always help in the standings, because that's how it's all calculated. And Les Levi was just following him for a very brief period. He is still leading this race, and by a comfortable margin at the moment. Adam Dude still putting pressure on Axel, but as it stands at the moment, it's all about that charge for Rev Caterpillar and Noctis. Are they going to be able to really counteract and potentially get a P3 out of the hands of the likes of Bobbitts and Axel, depending on that finishing position and of course the penalties?
Yep. While we were having a chat about that, Quantum made a mistake. He spun out, so he's out of contention here for that. So it just comes down to Rev Caterpillar, Noctis, as well as Adam Dude for those podium positions, because of course the other Revs having time penalties, so they're going to be on their toes for the final 2 laps that we have left here in Silverstone.
All about what's going to be happening with Noctis at the moment. As it stands at the moment, he is in a gap of around about 2.4 seconds to Axel. So as it stands here, he's going to be taking P3, Will Noctis, and that is going to be the position he's been really fighting for versus Quantum. Of course, Quantum has, as you rightfully pointed out, spun out. So now he is out of contention of this one. The nearest rival he's going to be wanting to get in that position is going to be Rev Caterpillar, but of course Rev Caterpillar is well down the field. He's over 3.5 seconds behind on Noctis, so it's all about Noctis holding on, and he'll be taking his first podium in his, what I believe to be his first race for RP1, which would be an absolute beauty, shall we say, for that team, as he's actually looking to try and eye up a little bit of a move here on Bobbitts, as we are on the penultimate lap of this race, about to start the final lap. Is he going to make a move on Bobbitts? He's looking for it, and he is just putting his nose in there. Just a question, can I make an overtake on you? Bobbitts does decide to shut the door, but the 3 seconds that he's got on him anyway, you don't really blame Noctis for not really risking it.
Yep, he's just trying to play it safe going into the final lap. You know, he knows he's going to get that podium position because he is within those 3 seconds of Axel and of course Bobbit as well. So he's just keeping it safe. Even if he does not make that position on track, at least he's going to gain it off track because of penalties. So I think he should just have a bit of a chill pill and just enjoy whatever the lap is remaining.
Needs to stay within the 3 seconds if he can of Axel. The current situation at the moment that I have on my screen anyway, as we can see on the leaderboard at the moment, is 1.6 I see at the moment. So as it stands, he's well within contention of P3 as it stands, is the RP1 driver. We'll see, of course, as they come across the line, what the final results will be. So it is all about, as you're rightfully saying, pulling out a little bit of a chill pill and just relaxing as they now head through Cops and into the Maggots and Beckett's complex. Levi is just holding on here to take a very cool and collected win for Ferrari here, but it is all about that battle for the rest of the podium positions at the moment. It's likely Adam Dude is going to be getting second place, assuming no mistakes occur. It's all about that battle for third at the moment, and tell you what, Noctis still wants to get it on track here, and he is trying to fight, but he is just weaving on the circuit. He's going to say, oh, well, you know what, I've still got the position anyway, whatever happens, and it doesn't look like to me he's going to be gambling too hard on this particular occasion. As we then head through the final set of corners, we go back over to Levi, the number 13 Ferrari. Some say it's an unlucky number, is number 13, but this is not a lucky day here because he's been absolutely fantastic. Levi wins the British Grand Prix, followed by Axel in second place, but of course gets knocked down to fourth as a result of Adam Dude and Noctis getting close enough with their penalties applied. Noctis takes P3, Adam Dude takes second. Levi, the race victor here tonight. What a performance it has been from those, as a top 10 all finished out. Venom in the end does finish in 10th place, even with those time penalties to his name, and of course not been a great performance from Mercedes, who are going to be losing a bucket load of points in the constructors. Jonas comes across the line, or rather spins across the line, and finishes in 12th place. Typical, the only remaining driver that hasn't got a time penalty at the moment, so he'll be finishing in P13 with, of course, what has been a very disappointing finish for Quantum after what has been a very cool race from McLaren. He finishes in 14th.
Yep, very good, and of course very fun and entertaining race all throughout. We saw a lot of battles going up and down the order. Of course, we did see majority of the battle taking place between Quantum, Bobbitts, Axel, as well as Adam, and you know, Levi just pulled away a lot because of that. But yeah, generally a very good and fun, interesting race.
Let's take a look then at that podium ceremony, as of course the drivers are all going to be heading on their way to what has been a very well-deserved trophy celebration for these drivers, and of course a very deserved first place trophy for Levi in the Ferrari, who has had an absolutely fantastic race. And in of course the special yellow overalls, the Ferrari will then head to the top step of the podium to collect the trophy and of course take the solid 25 points that he rightfully deserves in that really, really good race, of course, with Adam Dude in the end managing to take P2 only by the fact that he had that his opponent had a time penalty. And of course his opponent getting that time penalty pushed him off of the podium, and it is RP1 Noctis who will take a P3 on the grid, and he'll be happy with that one. I'm sure Roleplay 1 will be as well. Let's take a look then at the what I believe to be very, very provisional standings. Let's be perfectly candid. Levi is in the race victor seat with Adam Dude in second and Noctis in third. Axel in the end finishes in fourth with Boberts in fifth. Of course, those time penalties applied to those drivers, with Rev Caterpillar in the end finishing in a what would be, I think, a disappointing sixth place. He's up one position, but he probably had a little bit more pace behind him. It's just unfortunate it wasn't close enough to get capitalise on those people making the mistakes with time penalties. Stonks in seventh, Caesar in eighth, Piccolo in ninth, and Venom rounding out the top 10. Spinala is in 11th with Jonas in 12th, Typical in 13th with Quantum in 14th, Jam Pancakes in 15th. Of course, he will not classify. Max is fresh, Kai, Akos, and Winter all DNFing from this race. So we will head our way over to the question and answer session, as these drivers are all very, very keen, I'm sure, to have a very quick conversation with us, as we will first head off actually to a driver who seems to be very keen as he joins the party straight away, none other than Roleplayer 1's fresh new face, Noctis. Good evening to yourself, sir. Cracking P3 in the end. Time penalties applied to get you in that position, but you kept it clean, kept it tidy in a well-deserved third place. Must feel nice, that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, first, I just want to say my English is bad, so sorry if I made some mistake of English. But yeah, qualifying was a little bit hard. The rain in this game is not good for me. But yeah, during the race I knew my it was good, and I managed to put the medium on lap 80. No. 70, I think. Yeah, I knew that was a good pace. So the medium was good, but better tire at the end. And yeah, the penalty saved me.
I mean, you raced through the field, in fairness to you. You managed to racing all the way through the field to manage to get yourself onto the podium from what was a pretty difficult qualifying by the looks of things. People were switching over to the intermediate tyre. Was it time for intermediates in your opinion, or were the wets the way to go? Because to me it looked like the wets were absolutely the tyre to be on in qualifying.
Yeah, intermediate was not very good. Like very hard to control the car. But yeah.
Nonetheless, a really good performance from yourself. Congratulations on getting that podium position. Let's move on to second place then. Adam Dude from pole finishing in second place. That may feel a little bit, I'm sure, a little bit disheartening, but you're still on the podium. You still get a solid 18 points nonetheless after what was a very interesting race, with the main headline race throughout this race actually was between you and Axel. Really good performance. Talk us through your mentality through that race.
My mentality was just as to be honest. I weren't expecting any of that. I barely played the game the last 2 weeks in the break we've had, so legit, I was just hoping for a couple points, but you know what, we'd take that. So yeah, mentality was just, I tried to stay with Levi at the start, but he was too fast, so fair play. And then Axel got past me, so I was just sat behind him for a bit. I didn't really have very good pace, to be fair, because like Quantum and whatnot were attacking me, so. But you know, hold on, second place is alright, so we take it.
No, you kept it clean in fairness. I mean, a lot of drivers in front of you ended up going off the track, making a little mistake, and obviously they ended up exceeding the track limits and getting the penalties. At that point, you surely would have felt, is it wise then at that point to just stay behind Axel, take the P2 off him on penalties, and not have to race that hard and don't, like, risk it?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I know it might be, if you was watching me, it might be a bit boring and whatnot, but I had 2 warnings, so I weren't risking, I weren't pushing it or whatever, so yeah, I saw the panel like you said, so I just sat behind him.
Pretty close stuff either way. Congratulations on a second place, well deserved second place, especially we saying that you haven't done a lot of practice as well. So solid performance in tier 2 to get that second place. And then moving on, race Victor, then Levi. What a performance from yourself. It never really looked in doubt from the moment you made the overtake on Adam. You just led the race from the front, pitted one lap later, you gained on everyone and making the overcut work. Was it as easy or was it as clean as what we think it was? Because we didn't really see a lot of you.
Yeah, I think once I pulled out of the DRS, it was plain sailing, to be fair. I knew I had to push in the early stages just to get the gap above about 1.5 seconds, and then I could sort of just maintain my pace still and the consistency. But yeah, I was surprised with the overcut as well, because I know the mediums went quite quickly, so I thought I would get undercutted by a fair bit, but I managed to overcut somehow.
I mean, it's a solid performance from yourself in the end anyway. I mean, managing to make the overcut work, the whole strategy played out beautifully, which says a lot for Ferrari, let's be honest. And you piled on the pressure on Adam, you made the move, you then just led from the front. In that situation, you've got to be sort of looking forward to the next race, of course. It's Belgium, if I remember correctly. Another circuit, which is very much a driving circuit. Are these the tracks that suit you in your race style, or is it just that the British Grand Prix is just something different for you?
No, Belgium is another one of my favourite tracks. I quite tend to go well at fast-flowing tracks. I'm not really a big fan of big braking zones. That seems to be where I lose all my time in the braking. So yeah, looking forward to next week. It's going to be good.
Going to be a good one. I'm sure that the rest of you guys will be tuning into that one, of course, across the rest of the WR spectrum. It is going to be the Belgian Grand Prix, but that will be the end of tonight's commentary and coverage of this British Grand Prix. Thank you very much to every single one of you tuning in to WR. Of course, Tier 2 back same time as usual. Keep an eye out on our Twitter at WORF1. And for the rest of the team here, thank you very much for watching. And a big thank you as well to Simply YT, who is also alongside us at 2 a.m. in the morning to commentate alongside me tonight. It's a real pleasure to be alongside you in that one. But for myself and the rest of the team here, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.